my screen and let's have a look at the Prima LMS and week 2 and the agenda for today. So let's go through the objectives and activities of this session. And the session objectives are to strengthen understanding of participants about your strengths and development areas based on the check-in tool results, and then widen understanding of benefits of project-based learning and development. And the third objective is to start project planning, to which is meant to complete during this mentoring program. So 3 objectives for this session. And what we are going to do today is that first we go through the agenda, and then Esko will explain something about the DigiCompedu results based on the check-in tool, uh, which we introduced to you last time. And then I'm going to give a short presentation about the principles principles and guidelines for project work and what the projects are, and how to start with the project. And then we may have time for uh, uh, short individual and group work, and then time for the assignment. So that's basically what we are going to do today. But Esko, what is what what do you say? How do you see the difference between training and mentoring?
Yeah, that's a good question, and a very important to understand the difference, especially in this program. Um, we usually talk about training of trainers, but especially this course is a sort of mentoring program, and there is a big sort of emphasis, sort of the subjectivity or the ownership is in different place. As you have seen, all you who participate right now, and all the participants, you see that we have started very much like a training program starts. We have a sort of course content online, we have assignments, and sort of Tuukka and I, we have provided stuff for you. But gradually, as this is mentoring program, so that we will uh, diminish or go into the background, and your initiative, your project should be there as the sort of, you should be the owner of the process. So I think that as we are mentors, my take on that is more that we are consulting as the same level peers and giving our ideas in this.
Yeah,
Yeah, how do you see it, Tuukka?
I see it quite similar, and I think it's more like walking with someone and
Mm.
helping to solve problems, and it's I mean mentoring, and supporting the growth and solving problems with someone, sharing experience, good practices, learning together with the mentee. And I think well, I've used mentors both informal and formal ways in my personal career, and nowadays mentoring for me is it's much like having time, spending time with expert, uh, and focusing on topic which is important for both of us, and which I see that the expert is really keen to talk about and share his or her experiences, and it's really valuable way of using time, having lunch with someone, and learning at the same time.
Have you had this kind of a peer mentoring system? Have you been peer mentored or peer mentoring yourself?
Uh, yeah. I used to be in peer mentoring program, and it was funny how helpful it was, even though the other members of the group, they were doing totally different. Uh, they were occupied in the totally different areas, but the asking questions, helping me to speak out the difficulties or issues which I've faced, helped me to solve the things and develop my thinking. So they were kind of a reflection surface for me, which helped me to understand what I'm thinking and well, uh, how to go forward. Do you have any experiences being mentoring or mentored by someone, or group mentoring?
You mean me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I share the feeling that not only that they're the peer mentor or mentee, whichever way, uh, can share something new and come from different sort of approach and different point of view, but also that there's some emotional connection in many cases, that hey, we have same kind of issues, and oh, now it's March and we have to do certain things, and we understand each other in many cases quite soon. So I think it's not only sort of a sharing of information, but a sharing of experience, or the uh, total emotional.
I think that's a really good point. That the feeling that I'm not alone with this question. I think it's helpful. We have something in chat.
Yeah, Hope Main
Okay,
just has joined us. Welcome and thank you for the information. And feel free to join the chat. Actually, we have been talking about that this is the mentoring program. Have you got similar experiences in your countries, Nigeria and Jamaica, that we are talking about with Tuk? Anyone? You may also raise your hand from the reactions menu if you'd like.
or join the conversation.
Mhm. Have any of you been mentoring or Yeah, hey, Anita James, you're clapping hands. Would you like to add a comment as well?
Yes. To respond to your, I didn't realize it was clapping hand. I thought I was raising it.
Yeah, no
Okay.
worries. Yeah.
Okay. In our in my personal experience at the University of Technology, we have had experiencing varying degrees of mentorship, mentee mentorship program. In our faculty, we had attempts at peer mentoring um, in terms of teaching and learning, where we identify pair to sit in a class while the other person teach, and we did that level, but that wasn't quite sustainable. We did it for probably one semester, some of us. um, Other types of mentoring that I have attempted is for the new students who enrolled in our courses of study. We have done some level of mentoring for them, but in terms of a full mentorship program like this one, in online learning. I personally haven't had much experience in the mentoring, mentee, mentor experience. So I hope that I would learn quite a bit through this particular kind of experience.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Uh, there are there, Ayakbe, you are from Nigeria. Have you any this kind of a sort of experience prior to this program? Uh, Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Am I permitted to go on?
Yep.
Thank you. Actually, I have not, I've come from Nigeria, and I have not really been exposed to this mentee mentoring relationship. Most of our lecturers, our senior colleagues, majority don't really have the need. They don't really see the needs for this mentee mentoring relationship. And though have been I've heard of such, I strive to uphold as many opportunities that come my way in order to learn what it's all about. But there hasn't been anything fully in place for mentee mentoring relationship. And that's one of the things that aided my applying for this program in order to learn what it is, so that there could be a basis for which we can begin such a thing, especially in my department. So at least from the students to lecturer, as well as among the lecturer, for new member of staff and others. So that's what really led to applying for this online. I hope that I'm going to learn a lot so that I'll be able to impact it to others. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have Everton, please.
All right. Good morning again. I'm having issues in unmuting my microphone. I would like to share my experience at the University of Technology. I started 29 years ago as a full-time member of staff there. And we had an orientation, a staff orientation session. It lasted for a week, but we did not really have any mentorship. No, I had two of my colleagues who actually taught me as a student at the institution, and I was quite comfortable in approaching them if ever I needed any advice or any suggestions in how to handle a particular issue. But there was no real formal mentoring that took place. Now, as lecturers, we are expected to be advisors to our students. We actually assign students to advise them. And so that I'd like to ask, is there a difference between being a student advisor and a student mentor? One question there. And secondly, amongst our peers, we don't really have a formal mentorship program that I am aware of, although across the institution, we have both pre-trained teachers lecturing and we have trained teachers lecturing. And I have seen and I'm aware of many of my colleagues who are not trained teachers who are lecturing. They have been doing some things that cause us to raise eyebrows, but we don't really have a formal mentoring, a peer mentoring program. I don't know if any of my colleagues can support me or correct me if I have not accurately represented my experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments and ideas. And
I might, sorry, there was a question, so I might
yes,
reply to that. So I think that in my or the Finnish vocabulary, sort of advisor is closer perhaps to the trainer, and so the it's the sort of ownership is quite a lot of steering of the process is on the trainer or advisor. But when we are talking about mentor and mentee, then in at least in the Finnish approach, the ownership and the emphasis and responsibility how the process goes on is on the mentee side, who is especially here in peer mentorship. The mentee is a professional and who knows his or her needs, and the mentor is sort of helper or a sort of going the path along with the mentee. This situation, when we have a sort of group mentoring program, it's very different because we don't dedicate time one-to-one to each of you. So that's why I hope that even if you have it very busy, you might have some time or meet um, by the coffee machine or wherever and talk together and team up and work towards the goals together. Yeah.
yeah, and that was a good one and a good answer to the question as well. Uh, and welcome, Junior. Good to have you online with us. I think we
Thank you.
I think we continue now w- to the Digi Compedu results and Esko, could you share? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Tukka. Hey, the assignment was that you'd fill in the check-in tool and learn this, the reply and the feedback you get, and also read the report that looks like this, and the link is there on the Prima LMS platform. And last time we went through the image that looks like this, as you can see now. And I promised that when we get the aggregation or the statistical results, then let's go through those. But unfortunately, very little replies were sent by the deadline to the system, and the EU contact point told me that they can't send the data as the anonymity would be breached. There were so few in many of the groups. For example, just Nigeria and Jamaica. We have 4 countries here. So at least these groups had so little participants that we don't know about the results overall. But now, if there is somebody online who did the check-in tool survey and got results, or studied these PDF reports and learned something about which areas you should focus on, or some interesting points there, we'd like to hear your take on this tool and these areas. What is in your scope during this program? Anyone? Just, you may open your mic or raise hand, whichever. The idea why we chose this as a starting point is that without some structure or framework or some model, it's very difficult to find what we are actually talking about. And it's not necessary that we stick on this framework for a longer period, but this might help you to address the vast area of digital learning and teaching, but perhaps you don't even need that. Maybe you have already some ideas for a project in your mind. And you might already know how to sort of create a project out of some vague development ideas or not, but Tukka has sort of a small presentation that shows some ideas about projecting your development work. I think Tukka, we might continue with that as well.
I unmute and start video first and start sharing after that. It's good to learn to do things in some order, and then the last one is share. Okay, I'm sharing the project and learning slide. Is that correct?
Yep.
Perfect. So I created a short presentation about projects and learning, and let's go it through. So I think we, in this context, we may divide projects in two areas. So we have development projects, which are focusing on developing the organization or individual, creating competencies or capabilities or services or products, and it's one category. And for example, creating renewing the IT infrastructure of campus could be this such a development project. And then we have learning projects, which we are doing with our students, and there are similarities with these projects and also differences. And if we start with the learning projects, the basic idea is that the students are learning new things while they are doing this project, and the results are not necessarily the most important thing of this project, but the process, it's important. And for me personally, it took a lot of time to understand that as a student years ago, because doing a project and doing research in an area where there was nothing really big find, nothing to find, or any possibilities, hardly any possibilities to do any inventions or create real results. It makes me wonder why we are doing this, because it's easier to read from the book or get the knowledge another way. But after graduating as a teacher, I realized that the process itself is really important, because when we're doing projects, we learn work-life skills. Okay, we learn the knowledge and gain understanding about this area which the project covers. But the work-life skills and the continuous learning skills which we learn, they are the real result of the project, and those skills you need in work life, really. So when we are doing projects with our students, we are creating their work life skills and continuous learning skills, and that's really important. Then when we have these development projects, for example, the IT infrastructure project, it creates a new capability for our campus. When we renew the IT infrastructure, the benefit is that the infrastructure works better, but it also we learn work life skills, and we learn these continuous learning skills while we are uh, doing that project, because we need to learn new things. We need to collaborate with different actors in that area. Uh, and especially when we are doing uh, development projects in area of teaching and learning, we create new methods, we implement new methods, and that's also staff training. And so there are many reasons why to do the project, even though the tangible result of the project may not be such big. Well, what the project is in brief, and I think this is important to understand for this when we are planning these learning projects during this session, and doing these projects in this mentoring program. So in brief, project is it it's uh, it can be divided in scope, the schedule, and the budget. So there are three factors. The scope is mainly what results and what results we are expecting, and the schedule, how long we are going to have this project, and what tasks we will include in it, and the budget is the total result resources we are going to use to get into the goal. And it can be visualized as a pyramid or triangle where we have three corners, and if all these corners are fixed, it's really difficult to execute this project, because there's always some uh, questions or issues with the budget, schedule, or scope, and the plan we are going to do. It's not going to be exact. So there have to be flexibility at least in one corner. So if you fix the budget and schedule, the scope have to be flexible, or if scope and budget are fixed, the schedule have to be flexible. And that might help to handle the project and ensure that we get the results we are expecting to have. Okay, then another perspective for project execution is if we simplify, we need to define the objective and then divide it into tasks and schedule, and then uh, write down the expected results and outcomes, what we are going to achieve with this project. And helping questions for that is what value we are going to create by this project, and to whom that value is going to be created. And then the tasks are how the value is created, and how we are going to achieve the objective. And then for result, how to measure the success. For example, if we are going to have a learning project with students, the value could be, for example, in language training, that some area of their language skills is going to improve. So we have now defined the value and to whom. So it's for students and the increased language skills. And then we need to think which are the tasks, how the project is going to go step by step, and focus on what the learners are doing in this specific case. And then in the beginning, we need to also think how we can, what is the evidence of the success? How we can see that the language skills of the students have increased during this project. So we define that these are the measures, how we are going to measure the progress, and this is the outcome why we started this project. And it's the same with the development project at the individual or organizational level. And then many times there is a need which starts the project. So there's a need or problem which we'd like to solve. And this is a simplified version of the lean startup method, but the basic idea, defining the problem and creating a solution, is to validate the need. So we see that there is area which have to be developed. There's a problem. So, for example, students will lack computers, so students are not able to use computers enough. And so, what is the real problem? We lack money, and so we need to find a way to find. And the first assumption is that we lack the money. So we tested that assumption. Is that correct? And then we may get idea how to solve it, or we may end up to the situation where we find out that yes, we have money, but it's budgeted in the wrong area. So by doing some changes, we find the money to buy these computers which are needed. So testing the idea and testing the need, we verify that the problem is real, and then we test idea how to solve it before we start to solve it. So that's a basic idea. Starting creating a fast and idea and testing it fast, and then creating the real solution after that testing first. Okay, I think that's my presentation. What ideas, or do you have something in your mind, questions or thoughts about doing projects in order to develop our organization, or student skills.
Let me comment one slide that you had. You had the triangle where there was a budget, scope, and schedule. Could we say that budget equals resources?
Absolutely.
So if you have it busy, as our mentees mentioned before we started today, if you have it busy and you have limited resources, so that's fixed how much resources you have. You have a schedule of 12 weeks, so that is sort of fixed already. So this scope is something that if you think about the project, for example, if you want to achieve the formal certificate for acting as an innovator, you have to define the scope so that it won't make you sleepless during this time, these weeks, but so that it will be well defined with your schedule and your resources and the scope. You might have some bigger vision there, but for these 12 weeks, the scope is very limited.
Thanks, Esko. That was a really good example, and so it's you bring it from theory to practice, and I think that's a typical. But it's and many times people naturally do so. So one of these corners is moving. But when we are planning, if we are aware of this kind of theory, it helps us to design the project, so we can do these decisions uh, uh, by real mean.
I'd like to hear if there are any of the mentees thoughts about this.
Just thinking about it, I would say for the, in terms of the scope and the resources available, and say, let's say a timeline of 12 weeks, if we were working with that, then perhaps the teaching or the learning projects would be perhaps more manageable than perhaps trying to tackle the organizational or institutional side, because as a, let's say, a participant in the whole exercise, there's some control that you have in terms of meeting the schedule and defining the scope. But if it were thinking about the organizational level in with the resources that may be available and the degree of interaction that you would have had to, and the issue of buying, that's perhaps a more challenging situation unless one we're looking at some sort of preliminary work or pilot, and then you're going to review that to see exactly how that would be implemented. So I would say that from what it said, the learning projects may be more feasible in achieving the objective of the program, and also would empower like individual or the mentee individually to be able to improve the teaching and learning environment. Those are my comments.
Thanks for the comment. Yeah. Anybody else willing to comment or?
This is Anita.
Good.
Anita from Jamaica. I understand what the learning projects versus the development projects. I'm trying to differentiate between the two, and the examples that you had on slide number 4 on the development projects, creation of new capabilities, work-life skills, and continuous learning skills. Now, in my mind, I am not quite clear on the differences between the development projects and the learning projects. For example, if I am thinking of creating an online program or an online module for a group of instructors to help them to learn the skills for teaching online, would that come under development, or would it come under a learning? So in my mind, I am trying to make the classification. Whereas if I want to develop a course or a module in the online environment to facilitate learning of a group of students, where will I put that? Would that come under learning, or will that be under development projects? So just a little clarity in terms of the two, what did we call them? The two projects, the two types of projects, the
Yeah.
development and the learning. So I'm trying to differentiate more clearly how we classify these projects in the environment, the learning environment in which we operate.
Well, I think that's a good question, and my point was that because many times people think that development projects and learning projects, they differ a lot, but my point was that project is also a great tool for learning, even though you are trying to create something, develop some areas, for example organizational. We do organization culture change project, which is focusing on creating a new way of working, or we are doing technical project or developing methods or something. So it's clearly the focus is to create new capabilities, which means capabilities that here it's culture, processes, product, services, IT or something. And the difference is that the learning process project is focused. It's for learning purposes directly, and the development project creates something tangible, but it's also creating. It's also learning project for all which are involved into the project. So my point is to underline the learning part of the project. So if you start a big project in your organization, it also creates the competencies of the individuals involved in the project.
Mhm.
And many times they are these work-life skills and continuous learning skills, because they need to learn these kind of things, and also they learn some subject related skills as well. So creating online course with instructors together is a perfect learning project, and it's a perfect development project, because you create something new which you can use in your everyday work. And so it's many times they are both.
Okay. So there's definitely going to be an overlap between the development and the learning. They're not discrete.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I think the difference is that this is focusing on learning only, and it may create something else as well. And this is focusing on developing new things, but it creates learning as well. So the primary target is development, and here it's learning. So that's the difference. Okay, then Esko. I think that was a really good conversation and really good questions. And I think this is not the only way to uh, divide projects into different uh, or differentiate projects, but that was only one model. But that was really good question. But now, Esko, good to have you there, ready for um, leading us to the next session by the assignment, which we're going to have.
Yeah, mostly so. As we have different groups and we have one sort of a course platform for each, and as this is a sort of mentoring program, we have set sort of program for each week. But as we mentioned in the very beginning, we will make changes, and for example, how much and what you choose to discuss about uh, means that not every session is like the other sessions or just what we planned. And I think this is not only something that is sort of uh, about this mentoring program, but it's about the world in general, that people have to be more agile and flexible to change things. So we just take it granted that okay, there are things mentioned on our platform that actually don't actualize, and we end up finding something completely different, hopefully something that supports your processes anyways. Let me find the proper window, just a moment. It's that one. I'm sharing the, I think that now you see the course platform page 2.2. Is that correct? Could someone confirm that?
You're sharing, I don't know what is reforming vet with EU for skills project. I think that's not correct.
Okay. My apologies. It's very handy to have three desktops, three screens, but sometimes I get a bit confused. Let's do it like
That
this.
look like it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, okay. Hey, for the next, not knowing what your actual situation is, so these are sort of food of thought that we are giving you. There are secondary and there are higher education organizations in this program, so some fit, some of our content fit some, and some the others. And now, this is one approach for the going to the week number 3. You see here under week 2, there is page 2.2 saying assignment. And here is a video by the German organization called GIZ. And there are 5-minute video what digitalizing and transforming TVET might mean in sort of conditions where, for example, students don't have access to digital tools so well as in Western countries. So that's sort of food of for thought there in upmost there on the page. And then there are 3 assignments. For the first, give please feedback for this session. It helps us to understand how to develop. I will click on the link now, and I guess you should see the very simple Google form there, and 2 just with the Likert scale there, and the comments is a free form place. You may give more ideas what you'd like to have included or not. And this is anonymous unless you give your name in the comments section. So please give feedback. And then the second assignment is to watch the video above or open the video. The link is there for YouTube. And on the video, it mentions a website called Eitingi. And there's the link eitingi.org, and it's open educational resources for vocational education and training. It's done by GIS as well, and it serves one approach, one model that you might think whether those courses as such are useful for you or your students. There are both. There are for teachers and students, or whether this approach in general is something that would be worthwhile in your situation. So please watch the video and then register on the eitingi.org and attend some course. Just start some course. You don't have to go through, but when you attend and you assign on some certain course, you will see how it's designed and what kind of progress and tools there are. So it gives you more insight when you register. So that is one thing, and we don't need any feedback on your experience here on the course platform, but you have a team or a group attending this mentoring program together. So I strongly recommend that you discuss together that, hey, what did you find, what is useful there or what might not work for you. So that's number 2. And now we go closer to what Tuukka was discussing so well about is your own project and outlining it. So you may have a sort of defined project as such, or just some vague steps that is project-ish, if you could say so. So what is your next step on digital learning to be taken in your work, and you may do it individually or as a team? Livia, please. Your comments. I see that Vivia raised.
Elio, I have a question, not directly related to the question you've asked, but I'm having a challenge, and I don't know if this is where it can be resolved. When I try logging in to attempt some of the stuff, I'm not able to get in from home. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I had to come on campus to my UTech because I'm not able to access my UTech mail from home. Is there some way that we can access the material from home? I'm not sure what is happening or if I'm the only one having that challenge.
Yeah, actually, that would be very good to hear if there are others having similar issues, at least in the other group with Maldives and Kenya. We didn't hear any this kind of an issue. But is there somebody else having problems accessing from home?
Yes, okay.
I am not having a problem accessing from anywhere because I did not use my organization email. I also used a Gmail account. So I am wondering, Vivia, if you forward the UTech email to your Gmail account and then you try opening it up from that Gmail account, if you would have a better, if you'll be able to get on. I'm not sure.
Because the LMS is it's not restricted any way where you can achieve it. So into these materials you should.
Okay. I'll try that. Thanks. Thanks for the suggestion.
The person who has sort of the best opportunities to help you out, if, for example, you need to reset your password or register with another other email account, is as you see on the right hand side, project coordinator Maria Salervo, and it's on the first page of our course site, and I will copy that email address to the chat as well. So please contact her if you continue having issues. She can sort and help you out as well.
Thank you very much for that info.
Okay. Okay. Very good to be able to assist in that. So here now talking about the outlining your project. Now, it doesn't have to be sort of a bigger or more sort of structural project so that you do the acting as an innovative module. But let's say that any goals or next steps you have, let's call those your project. And now we'd like you to outline those. So we'd like you to write your initial plan to an online document and share a link to it on the assignment discussion below. So describe your situation and your issue that you might like to solve, and what kind of a sort of piloting project you'd have. Do it on whether it's a Google document, online Microsoft MS Office 365 Word document, or anything that you can share with others. And if you have already some practices how to do that, use those. If not, there is as you can see, this is a link. There's one beginner's guide to Google Documents, and you might use that, for example. But so that you'd have somewhere as a text document in other place than this discussion, you'd only share the link here, and we could everybody could open the link here and then discuss about your ideas. It might help the others as well. So did you get what we are asking you to do during the week?
For me, yes, you have set me thinking, and I have a question.
Please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's assume that I have a manual, a manual for a course that I teach face to face. And I would love to transform that paper-based manual into an online manual. Would that be considered an example of a project?
Definitely so. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that it's worth sort of transforming or changing your work as an educator to digital form, and it would be very beneficial for you. So it's definitely worthwhile.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Very good question, though. Any other similar questions, perhaps? Surely, if you have some further questions, you may ask them. I suggest that if you don't share your document link, but you'd like to ask some further questions, I think that on the left-hand side, you see the chapter number 13, general discussion. So perhaps if you have some more general questions or some background issues you want to ask, perhaps you'll ask them there. Surely you can send email as well, but I prefer that you use our platform so that others will see not only the question but the reply as well. But from my behalf, thank you for this session.
For my behalf, thank you for this session as well, and have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Right,
next
And I
time.
thank you.
promise to be a better student this week. I'll do my
Thank-
homework.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thanks.
Thank you
Okay.
for the session. Mhm.
Thank you. Enjoy your time. Okay, I will now stop the recording as well.